小沈阳找郭老师啊，看前面这一位就是。
Really don't need to do. Oh, hi. Mom. We'll be back in 5 seconds. 麦克风没有声音哦。
你嘛，18，嘟噜，嘟萨，自在。
Welcome back. I was going to do a proper introduction for Mr. Donald Campbell, but he says, save it. So let's welcome Mr. Campbell to present on the topic of the role and purpose of digital indigenous language television.
Well, that was a hard act to follow. Shafir Holochus agus Urim Haun Gunya Vishaw agus Misha Vifine Horim Pleendiv agus Amitorslum Jogurkan agus Bernachkan BBC Alapa Ukuv Itfat. It's an honour for me and my colleagues to be here and to have the opportunity to speak to you and to bring the good wishes and blessings of our colleagues in Scotland in BBC Alapa, particularly my colleagues Margaret Mary Murray, the Head of Service, and Alan Esmond, Head of Content. Of course, I am joined here by my two colleagues, Margaret Cameron and Norman McLennan, somewhere. There he is. Well, Scotland is a beautiful country. It's a land of prehistoric stone circles, ancient and modern universities, outstanding scenery and outdoor pursuits, bearded collies, our own version of the sterling currency, and of course, a wide and varied bunch of inhabitants. More importantly, Scotland is the home of the Scottish Gaelic language, a language once spoken by our kings and queens and now only spoken by less than 2% of the population, a language rich in oral tradition, poetry and song, the language of Scotland's mountains and rivers and place names. The Scottish Gaelic language is now engaged in the mother of all struggles, and that's the fight for survival. The gradual decline of Gaelic has been the result of many factors: oppression and suppression, the promotion of English by the education system as the ticket to success, the pigeonholing of Gaelic by well-wishers as a curiosity piece, and most significantly by the apathy of speakers and non-speakers alike. And now we are fast approaching a tipping point. Friedrich Nietzsche, in his work The Gay Science, told the story of the madman who runs around the market square shouting, "I seek God, I seek God," before falling on the ground and crying out, "God is dead and we have killed him, you and I." Well, fortunately, in the style of Mark Twain, we're able to say that in that instance, the news of the death of the deity was greatly exaggerated. but I regret to say that it's not yet possible to say that of the Gaelic language. Many have said it. Gaelic is dead. There are probably around 60,000 speakers of Gaelic in Scotland. Roughly half of them live in communities where Gaelic is regularly spoken, and the other half are dispersed in urban areas of Scotland. The fact is that for Gaelic to grow and survive in the 21st century, the champions of the language have first of all to reverse the decline of the language in the face of difficult odds. But there is hope. We have experienced a potential turning point, and that is that there is now a national plan for Gaelic in place. Now, a plan of itself is not a lot of help. The champions of Gaelic have long been adept at tactics, but tactics alone are not sufficient. Only 2,600 years ago, the military strategist Sun Tzu said that tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. The challenge before the language is to adopt and execute the tactics that will allow the strategy to be fulfilled. To put it another way, I've heard it said that vision without action is a dream, but action without vision is a nightmare. So what is the strategy? Well, the strategy is, to continue the military theme, a campaign on two fronts. On the one hand, to strengthen the linguistic and cultural base of the language, while on the other hand, simultaneously to break through invisible barriers and glass ceilings, taking Gaelic into every area of Scottish society, asserting its right to be heard and to be spoken in each and every circumstance. You could say that the strategy is akin to a pincer movement. It is the only one that will succeed. Now, I've not really come here to talk about language strategy, nor military strategy for that matter, but to talk about BBC Alapa. But BBC Alapa, as a wholly Gaelic television channel, is an intrinsic part of the story of the language, and we happen to have a strategy for broadcasting that is remarkably similar to that for the language generally. And that is that on the home front, we will seek to serve Gaelic communities and strengthen our linguistic and cultural heritage, while on the away front, we will bring the language into new territory, creating new and positive association in areas where it has not been before. Now, BBC Alapa was born a digital channel, a child of the 21st century, and that is significant. In 12 months' time, Scotland will become a digital-only television nation on 4 different digital platforms: satellite, cable, digital terrestrial, and online. Unfortunately, BBC Alapa is only on digital satellite at present, although we expect to hear a decision about the DTT platform, the digital terrestrial platform, on the 18th of this month. So what is the strategy of BBC Alapa? When we launched BBC Alapa, we made a fundamental commitment to being a certain kind of TV channel, and the following 3 statements capture the essence of that commitment. BBC Alapa is first and foremost a linear TV service with ancillary post-broadcast, on-demand programming online. BBC Alapa is a wholly Gaelic TV service, providing a credible and valuable service to the core linguistic community of Gaelic speakers with full linguistic tenor and appropriate cultural distinctiveness. And BBC Alapa serves the whole of the Scottish nation by providing content which offers alternative viewing to audiences and communities of interest across Scotland and the rest of the UK for that matter. And no areas will be out of bounds for BBC Alapa. The statements above stand in the context of a huge stretch target for an Indigenous language service. For every Gaelic-speaking viewer, BBC Alapa must reach at least 5 non-Gaelic-speaking viewers. The expectations are big. Speakers of Gaelic want a channel that they can be proud of and that is authentic for them. Learners of the language want tools so that they can progress to fluency. Local and national governments want efficiency and economic outcomes, as well as cultural goods. The regulators want to see ratings maintained, as do we. The general public needs to be surprised and delighted. And the normalisation of Gaelic demands that stereotypes and preconceived notions are not just dispelled, but comprehensively destroyed. And the press, well, the press want a story, and some are for the channel and some are against the channel. The bottom line is that any Indigenous language service must punch above its weight. Every pound or dollar in public funding is constantly under scrutiny and must be seen to buy many times more than that in social or economic value. Whether in the creation of a skilled and competitive workforce, the creation of cultural goods, or contribution to the social or, in our country, democratic expression of citizens. It would be easy to be swayed by the different demands that are put upon a publicly funded Indigenous language service. But in the case of BBC Alapa, we maintain that even in a universe of 500 digital channels and countless online video and on-demand platforms, we maintain that a linear TV channel is essential. It gives status and profile to the language. And just as importantly, it affords the language an opportunity to compete with other channels in peak and in prime time. Success in these areas breeds self-confidence. We passionately believe in the concept of a Gaelic channel as opposed to a bilingual channel. The message is loud and clear. We have claimed a space in the broadcasting universe unequivocally for Gaelic. A strong start has meant that we are now able to schedule other language programming when it suits the strategic aims of the channel, but overall the channel belongs to the Gaelic language. We deliberately adopted a dual audience focus. BBC Alapa serves the core Gaelic audience, which is only about 2% of potential viewers, and also the wider Scottish audience, the other 98%. An audience strategy with a dual focus sounds risky, but it is achievable with the right tactics. We know that 70% of the core linguistic community treat the channel as a favourite channel, possibly what I might call their home channel, where they feel the most comfortable. And BBC Alapa is doing well in this area, particularly in the genres of news, information, culturally relevant and music programmes. And in serving this core Gaelic-speaking audience, there are 3 R's that come into play: representation, role models, and recruitment. Representation. The community of speakers are able to represent themselves to the world, for better or for worse, leading to authenticity. Role models. Speakers of all ages have been starved of role models for too long. Now they have heroes and celebrities who speak Gaelic on screen and who bestow on their viewers a pride in the language that may not have been there before. And recruitment. The goal is always to recruit occasional viewers to becoming regular viewers, to win new supporters, to win new learners of the language, to expand the number and size of the core audience group. We're going to look at the opening sequence of a programme filmed on the island of North Uist in the Western Isles of Scotland. And this clip is indicative of what a dedicated language channel such as BBC Alapa can bring. That is self-confident speakers, ordinary folk with a story to tell.
Part of werken met een lage koele dias kunnen kies met zins. Dus we kunnen zinnen komen thuis.
Bij hem kan niet meer say, Shocky, you has not too.
Ik leef wel goed, Eerst gedaan en schiet, ja, hij gaat mij dat te maken.
Pek har de redan mycket det ska det verkar så mycket där kommer det upp i knaken och märker med hjälp.
Chocolate met lopen die in de dijken daar nutje. Die zijn eigenlijk in de wind moet ik nellen. Het doen je van pijp maken man als morgen mis je zo'n klein weg te gooien dan verder laag. Dan heb ik hier hoe delen met je.
Just as an aside, I agree very much with the analysis by Sean Brown at the Witbc 2008 conference that in general television works to another 3 R's, those of ratings, relevance and relevance. Sorry, ratings, revenue and relevance. The other 3 R's that I've set out here, though, representation, role models and recruitment, are to us equally important. We also know that people who don't speak Gaelic at all will come to the channel if we offer them compelling programme propositions that they can't find anywhere else. And we have to make those programmes easy for them to view and to follow. So that is the recipe. Find out what the wider audiences want to watch, that they can't watch currently, or that they are not getting, and give it to them in a language that they cannot understand. It's very easy, really. Of course, it's a big target, and to demonstrate how we approach it, the kind of programming we use to meet this particular target, here is a show reel that we used at the launch of this year's, the past autumn schedule, and you'll see from the type of programme that's being showcased that it is aiming for the widest possible audience and trying to be as relevant to modern Scottish society as possible.
I was on my way, coughing uncontrollably, head down into the bathroom, and my eyes above the swollen nose and bruised mouth were truly the eyes of an 80-year-old.
Skiën var seo an a bricusfer, os an a bricuseke nyara var seo, agus var nunul seorseke ki leile.
We as Calvinists must insist almost on absolute liberty of speech. I find it very hard to lay down any limits as to what can be said, either verbally or in print.
Hoping, although we're not calling it a cure, that it will be something to slow down or even stop this muscular dystrophy in its tracks.
She's nobody's girl, she walks this road.
Operation Dúrachug.
Oh, Letty! Woo!
Wow, Charlotte har vi kent scanner nok. Hooking.
ما هذين خليك كالكولا.
And what about your Appreciation Society? It's kind of like a homage to my bosoms, I think.
Thank you. Good content demands an audience, and audiences demand good content. At BBC Alba, our immediate focus is on ensuring that every viewer in Scotland in 2010 will have access to Gaelic programmes on BBC Alba, and we will watch carefully and with interest as the technology of interactive television, HD and 3D TV advances. And our strategy will be to adopt that technology as and when it becomes mainstream and affordable. We will ensure that our video-on-demand offering is compelling, and we'll explore ways of getting our Gaelic content onto mobile platforms more frequently. This is important not just from a viewer perspective, but as a statement of intent for the language, that there are no areas that are out of bounds to Gaelic language media. We've worked hard to claim a place in the mainstream, and we believe that is where we must be, wherever it is. A Gaelic TV station as a linear TV proposition in a digital era is still the best for audiences and for the language. But we must also have a presence across the spectrum of digital media. When I attended Witbc 2008 in Auckland, I was inspired by many things, one of them being the speech of Judge Joe Williams when he spoke of the Polynesian navigator's quest for the island. Judge Joe painted a vivid picture in my imagination of intrepid explorers who are firm in their belief that by listening to the currents and observing the signs in the skies, they would reach the island that they longed for. And 6 months after that conference, we reached our island. We launched BBC Alba. Our aim now is to build a reality with the help and guidance of your wisdom, colleagues and friends from the World Indigenous Broadcasting Network, where Gaelic has ceased to decline and once more grows as a vibrant language in our country. So, thank you very much. I'm sorry, just before I go, we have brought a small gift in remembrance, really, of this event for TITV and for Masao. So I'd like my colleague Margaret to come up and to present this gift to Masao. It's made from Harris tweed from the islands of Scotland, and it's normally worn as a garment, but this is a wall hanging.
Can we do a little translation about what is?
The translation is that the world will come to an end, but love and music will endure. It's a Gaelic proverb.
All right, thank you, Donald. Thank you for the wonderful gift. Next, we will welcome the speaker that is considered one of the top scholars in anthropology in Taiwan, Dr. Pan Yinhai. Dr. Pan is the director and associate professor of the Graduate Institute of Anthropology of National Jinan University in Taiwan. Known for his works on cultural recognition in ethnic consciences, the sustainability of digital archives, and the application of digital authorization, to name a few. Dr. Pan has also served as the Associate Director of the Academia Sinica's Institute of Ethnology and was also a guest scholar at Harvard University. Let us welcome Dr. Pan Yinghai to present on the prospect of Formosan Aboriginal Indigenous people in the digital era. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, I have to sorry that I come late. Supposedly I have to speak the earlier session because this week I have been rolling around in the mountains. I just coming down from the mountains. So. Oh, I have to go back. For the last 10 years, I've been doing the digital archive project for the indigenous people. So today, the special topic I'm trying to talk about is about the prospect of the Formosan indigenous people in the digital era. And before I come, I knew the digital or digitization is a special topic for this conference. I will summarize a little bit first. Actually, the whole national digital project started in 1999. So the first 3 years actually is a kind of experimentation period. After that, starting from the 2002 to 2006, the government started the first one, the first phase. So because it was successful, so the government decided to continue the second phase. Then at that time, the Council of Indigenous People in Taiwan, they also decided to join the project. Actually, you can see for the indigenous people here in Taiwan, it's a latecomer in the digital era. So I'm trying to review what will be the future for the Formosan indigenous people in this coming digital era. So my outline will have 6 parts. The first part is basically some kind of introduction. The second part, I will describe a little bit about the Taiwan experience. The third one, I try to ask the question, what is the opportunity for the indigenous people here in Taiwan? The first part, I try to present how the indigenous people, how they organize the CITNet platform. And then I will rethink it from an anthropological point, then make a conclusion. I think the Chinese one is good for the local audience. Also for the foreign people, you can see the Chinese character. So I think it will be suitable. Actually, we all know that what we call the computer or digital started in the early 80s when people started to use the Apple II computer. So for the young people, maybe they don't have the experience, but most people in this room, I look at the age, I think we all have the experience to use the Apple II. So since then, so the society, the global society become changing tremendously, also silently. So some people call it is a kind of digital revolution. Also, in this process, we facing the kind of changing and of the digital society and the digital culture. So in Taiwan, just like what I just mentioned in the summary, so we started in 1999. So later on, so we have second phase. The second one will be ended in 2012. It means about 2 years from now. So the second phase, they integrate the digital archive and the e-learning together. So the problem is that how we put together the digital archive and the rich indigenous people culture. Also, then, what is the digital archive and what's the digital content? Because it's the two most important questions in when we want to put together the digital archive and the Formosan indigenous people's culture. So about the digital archives, I think there's invented in Taiwan, especially. Although in English, it also have the kind of idea about the digital archives, but the concept of the digital archives in Taiwan actually is very different. Actually, he integrates the idea about the digital library and the digital museum, these two ideas. When this program started in 1999, actually a lot of arguments. Also, it's pretty controversial in how we want to design or make up the digital archives. So actually, the digital archive become in Taiwan is a very special term in the for the moment. At the very beginning, the National Science Council, they have very special definition for digital archive. So the main purpose is try to present the multiplicity and the subjectivity of the Taiwan culture. So they also hope the digital archive can integrate to promote the industry, education, research, and the social development. So mainly the digital archive included 8 items in Taiwan's concept. The first one is about the digital engineering. The second one is about the metadata. The third one is the digital database. To put it short, the digital archive is the digital content plus informational technology. Then what is the digital content? The Ministry of Economy, they defined it in 2003. There's 8 elements in the digital content. The first one is the digital game. The second one is digital e-learning. Also the mobile service, the internet service. Also the kind of flash, the kind of digital video, the application of digital video or media. Also the kind of software and the digital publication and archiving. This framework designed by the Ministry of Economy. The first one mainly talk about the digital content, the 8 elements. This part is talking about the internet service. Mainly, you can see the digital content, including the product of the content and the service of the content. So, this is another way to look at the 8 items of the digital content. So this scheme proposed by the non-governmental organization of the information. Mainly, they presented in 2005. The reason I want you to know these 2 schema, because I'm going to present another one. This proposed by me. So I have a different understanding. So before I present my framework, I have to talk a little bit about the digital archive from anthropological perspective. We all know that actually for the human being, we have been evolving for million years, according to the newest archaeological data. So to put it simple, so we human beings go through the tribal society, the agricultural society, the industry society, and what is so-called the informational society. So from the anthropological angle, so each society have their own surviving strategy and their own way of life. So all the society will be decided by the means of the production and the mode of production. So the means of the production, like in the agricultural society, is the land, labor. In the industry society, is the factory, technology. In the informational society, it will be system, platform, internet, or other softwares. And the mode of production actually is a kind of how you organize the way of life, the way of to produce, to distribute. So actually, we can put it into like it's a kind of set of the organization of the social relationship. Also through this kind of organization, human beings know how to use the tools, technology, organization, and the knowledge. They can use this to achieve their goal, the surviving goal. So, like, if we look at the digital content, the industry of digital content, digital engineering will be like how we use the kind of tools to produce digital content. It includes the kind of regulations and the knowledge. At the same time, we also use the internet to organize different kind of people, cross the space and the time, and doing some kind of linear production. What I try to mention this is, for the industry society, mainly the production is linear. But for the informational society, the kind of production becomes unlinear. So you can see through the internet, you can go through here in Taiwan, and by a click, you can contact through the internet to friends, for example. So in anthropology, we define the kind of subsistence system in three factors. The first one is production. The second one is exchange and the accumulation and the distribution. The third one is consumption. So I will also use this model to re-scheme what I present. So try to memorize the two schema I just presented. One is from the Ministry of Economy. The second one is from the NGO of the information. So then this one, this side here, this end here on the left end is the production. The right end here is promotion. It means the kind of consumption. All around here is the way how we to do the kind of production of the digital content. The first part is we are going to digitalize all those content, mainly those words or sound or video or others. So this process, I call it a kind of digital engineering. Then this different unit of the product, this unit may be individual, maybe a group, or maybe belong to institute, whatever. All these individual to institutes, they all can use the digital tools to digitalize those content, then become those here. Then they put into this is the kind of, you can see like a kind of storehouse. So you put all this content into the storehouse. Also like the icebox, which is a refrigerator in your home. So when you want to cook or you want to make something, you retrieve those things. Then you make different kind of dishes, or you open different kind of restaurant. This is the idea here. So this is the kind of digital chain. So what I'm trying to do is I try to simplify all those complicated digitization process. On the one end, we are trying to produce. On the other end, after we produce, we put it into different kind of platform system, or like the warehouse or storehouse in the industry society. Actually, in the tribal society, they also have their own storage house. Like this week, I'm running around in the tribal society at the mountain. They try to build up the kind of traditional storehouse. So this is to store their food. There's also a kind of storehouse. So I think each society, they have their own storehouse to store their own knowledge or technology or their food, whatever. Then after that, they will produce into different kind of form. So then the platform or system I designed for the indigenous people here in Taiwan is pretty much like this. We are using the Door. Door is a kind of open sources to write up the kind of software program. So inside this Door is a database. Of course, it includes the metadata. It's like the artifacts, photograph, sound, music, like a list. This is the kind of document, maps, or other kind of documentation. So this is different unit. They all put their into that. What I mentioned before, this is the storehouse. Then this different unit of the production to produce the kind of digital content. Then this is the presentation platform. Just like what I just put, the earlier schema is the kind of different form of presentation. So we're using the Drupal, also a kind of open source tool to write up. And this part, we are not done yet, is a kind of knowledge net. It means after we have all this different kind of production, we try to build up a kind of knowledge network to make a kind of integration. And this web page design of the digital archive actually is like the concept of storehouse. You just put on the account and the password. This platform for communication for the visual communities. Mainly is we are using the blog. This is another look. And we also have using, call it the vCenter. It's a platform for the video, for the media, pretty much related to what you have been taught today. So this the platform is come from the authorization from the Academia Sinica. So it's pretty much the YouTube, okay? But the difference is that they can do a lot of searching. Also, you can do the online editing. Also, you can put a kind of subtitle on the different kind of. Also, we integrate all the knowledge with the Google Map. So this, I'm not going to show too much because of the time. So for those of you, if you are interested in that, you can just write down the the website address here. So what you see here is different production of different presentation of the platform. So some related to according to the project, some related to the literature, some related to the traditional rule, the old mentioned the kind of road on the mountain. Some are related to the oral history, some related to the traditional ritual or something like that. So these are all the different, you can, also we have a kind of online, okay, time is up anyway. You can, if you have time, you can go up to have a look. So in conclusion, I try to mention 3 major problems I have been encountered. The first one is, although the platform is workable, also is pretty progressive, but the problem is that who are going to put into the content? So we can have beautiful system and the platform, but who to build up the content? So if we try to build up to produce the content by the institute, I think it's going to be a long way. So I'm suggesting that if we want to fit up the kind of digital content in a very quick way, then we have to mobilize all the tribal group, like different community on the mountains. So to teach them how to make the kind of production. The second problem is that in the agricultural society and information and industry society, people do communication through face-to-face or by phone. But in informational society, we are facing different ways of communication. So that's why we build up the blog. But the problem is that in the tribal society, it's very hard for them to use for many reasons. The third problem is that just what I present at the earlier time is the kind of schema of the production. Another side is presentation, like we retrieve different materials from the storehouse, from the warehouse. We present into different dishes to cook. But how do we cook? How to cook that into digital society? These are all the 3 problems. I'm thinking the answer now. So hopefully in the future, I have some other chance to present you the answers. At the moment, I just leave the problem for you to think. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pan Yinghai. Let's allow them to do sit-up. And right now I have a few questions to ask. How many people watch Julian on Indigenous Insight? Please raise your hand. Indigenous Insight, Julian? How many people watch? Okay. Do I need to ask the question again? You know the news exchange program that Witbc has conducted last year, Indigenous Insight. Julian Wilcox is the host. How many people here have seen me on TV for the English news program, TITV Weekly? Please raise your hand. Oh, more than Julian? Really? Where did you watch the news? Where did you watch the news, English news, TITV Weekly? Oh, you got some DVD. I thought we need to increase budget for the marketing department. All right, other than that, we also do the workshop yesterday, the first workshop. So I would like to ask Dana. Can you please stand up?
Thanks for the
warning.
warning.
Here's my Maori brothers. We had the wonderful workshop yesterday. Can you tell us what's the thought about conducting this workshop and what's the main goal when you're conducting it? What's the main goal that you want to achieve in this workshop?
Kia ora, Pedigo. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Pedigo's role in the development of Indigenous Insight.
Assistant.
We got no credit for either Pedigo, but I do acknowledge your contribution. She also came up with the name of Indigenous Insight as well. And the workshop yesterday was a great opportunity to meet with all the contributing broadcasters, and like Pedigo said earlier, they've only been emails, communication via email, so we were able to put faces to names. There was the experience of the players who'd been in the game longer, from TG Kaha, the Sami, BBC Alba, APTN in Canada was awesome. But what we what we agreed to was to continue with Indigenous Insight, to produce another 13 programs in 2010, and the kind of long-term goal is to build the network and bring Hawaii into the network as well, and NITV in Australia, to grow the contributors. But the long-term game here is to be able to share news stories on a daily, if not weekly basis.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Teanga. We have Teanga talking about the news program. I also want our TITV delegation to tell us about what you learned from the program workshop. Maraos? You all remember Maraos, right? Who shed his tears in 2008 in New Zealand? We will not forget that. Okay. All right. So,
I use Chinese to ask you. Yesterday, during the program workshop, what have you learned? And what do you think you can share with your colleagues in TITV?
在昨天的这个讨论，那我们彼此分享。
In our discussion yesterday, we shared our experiences in terms of music and children's TV and drama from different countries and different broadcasters. And it's been great that there were a lot of managers and a lot of people coming from different countries. And what I was most interested in is we might be able to work together more on music programs. And so in the future, we will work more towards working together on the music.
Here, we give the microphone to Jim Mather for the next station. Thank you.
Tēnā tātou katoa. I te tuatahi he honarei tino nui māku ki arohi I tēnei kōrero I te wānei. Nō reira tēnā tātou. Greetings everyone, and welcome to this session which is focusing on Indigenous language broadcasting strategies in the digital era. I won't go to the podium because I can see that you have all got fairly good line of sight to myself and the other panellists, and just try and keep this relaxed and as much of a exchange of views as we possibly can do in the next hour. First of all, I'd just like to introduce my fellow panellists from your left to right. First of all, we have Tanya Denning, Head of Program Content Management and Digital Media of NITV Australia. To the right of Tanya, we have Donald Campbell, who you've all just recently listened to with his presentation on BBC Alpa. Donald is obviously the CEO of MG Alpa and Chairman of the Board of BBC Alpa Scotland. To Donald's right is Dr. Liang Nguyen Ku, Professor and Director for the Graduate Institute of Communications Studies of the National Chiao Tung University, Taiwan. Dr. Ku has got specialist expertise in sociology and media. And the final panellist at the end of the stage is Dr. Tung Chiao Huang of the Amis tribe. Dr. Huang is an associate professor for the Language Centre of National Donghua University and has special expertise in trilingualism.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor to be invited to make my lectures and my specialism in English and in language translingualism, the true beauty of Taiwan. First of all, I think it is much better for me to make some kind of greeting in my own ethnicity. It is easy to read it. Just follow me, please. Faiao, fakiao, ato kita sarikaka amaporong. Easy, right? Once again. Faiao, fakiao, ato kita sarikaka amaporong. Ngai ho. Okay, I want to sing because I have to change. This is tedious from the morning. We listen to a lot of the lectures over there. Okay, Yo, hey, and hi. Follow me. Hey, hi. Easy, right? This part, okay? You can say. Hey, hi. Okay, once again. Minus time, okay? Hey yo, hi, and hi. Thank you. Don't you think my people have our life philosophy of life? We have the philosophy of life. Easy? Very easy. That is the philosophy of life of my people. We must be, all the members here must be sensible and open-minded. And that is the reason why we are here today. Because knowledge is different from the wisdom. That is my ancestor told me. Oh, no, sorry. Right now, sometimes I say from the morning up to now, I have some kinds of, I doubt it. Sometimes we are here talking about the pie in the sky, digital, archive. We need to spread our languages quickly through oral emphasis, right? We people need some kinds of, we didn't support ourselves. We need some money to support ourselves, right? Our younger generation, we don't have, all of the younger generation can't speak our own native language because of the assimilation. Long time ago, all the languages, this location already, we are in this location. So, what is translingualism? What's your name? Hoklo. The majority in Taiwan say, Li Gio Xia Mi Miang. Right? Easy, right? Hakka Li Ma Gai Miang. Right? Jima Gongangang no Miso, Truko Ima Hangan Su, Bunong, Shima Sungan. Try to read it by yourself. What is translingualism? Translingualism is, it is impossible to be good at one language in a short time, but one can learn several languages in Taiwan. 你講你是台灣人，你不要講好多話套用客家話準的。啊，唔過你講你是台灣人，你唔知喺台灣夠解這種無共的話時陣，套用好多話真歹勢。更嚴重一點是改更小，哎呀，這對不對 ？We have to try. Taiwan is a multiracial, multicultural, and multilingual, diverse society because there are over, look at here, that is our languages. How are you? That is English. Easy, right? Hoklo language. 加 ba boy. Si bao mo. Our the ministers of the councils of indigenous affairs. He is Inavayan. Puyuma. Puyuma say, how are you? Means Inavayan. You have to say that. Okay, please. Inavayan. How about the dean? The Natalie Vaksun. Okay, the best hunter in Taiwan. Bunong tribe, Bunong ethnicity. Mihu misang. Nga aiho. Ambeksuho. Look at this one. Look at smiling so tenderly. That is Lukai language. Mo dringai su. Okay, try to read it, please. Okay. What I mean is the majority must learn the minority languages and the theme of the cultures minority, right? That is the truth. You have to learn my language. 我要讲你的话，啊，问过你不要讲我的话时阵，真歹势呢，对不？ Translingualism is the process of the empowerment, and this empowerment of us in our daily life might produce an environment that fosters maturity and responsibility. Look at this, Pacific Ocean. I'm sure that is the working group of the Irish language broadcasting in 1987. He mentioned this part. We need our language, all of successful language ever, all make effort to use their language in the media. For instance, television, radio, newspaper, and so forth. But how about our TITV? How many languages have you used to make your program? Sometimes, this morning, we talk about this, but sometimes I am sad and mad. So sometimes I'm mad. I would like to sing a song. Ho. How do you say that? Oh, I forgot it. God, give me a sign, okay? You just read it, please, first. And then I think about how to sing a song. Origano voras karakalaw na matoa say midaraka tomaanser. Origano voras karakalaw no siningkay marahoror irakaran. Next one. Hoyan ayan. Hoyan, hoya, hoyan, hoya, hoyan. That is our song. That's competitive. How could we make our languages full of vitality? We have to try it. That's right. Only words can last forever. How about our writing system right now in Taiwan? I suppose children learn to speak naturally through exposure to language without formal teaching. To become literate, to learn to read and write, one must make conscious effort and receive instruction. That is true, right? But how could we teach our younger generation to learn our language? We need immersion right now. Tough. We want to learn our language? Tough. We don't have the elder right now because the assimilation, all the generation of the middle age couldn't speak our language. The mother say, why do my younger generation learn our native language? It couldn't bring the bread on the table. So what? Right? So, what this? When the younger generation learn our language, somebody said, look down upon it. Oh, Li Huanao. Wase. It's another kind of discrimination. Reality. That is reality in Taiwan now. Our government have made a lot of effort right now. We do that. Literacy development, companion textbook, but all of the writing systems, we don't have the same writing system. There are 14 different writing systems. How come? Nobody, the majority never want to learn our language because it is too hard to learn. Aboriginal teaching in primary school, we do that. But our teacher never have such kind of a spatial training when go into the classrooms. 各位小朋友，不要讲话，不要讲话 ，don't speak. And then 40 minutes is over. Thank you so much. Right? So the best is the administration of the ethnic language proficiency test. We are the original people on the island. Why do I have the test? Examination say I say it's unfair. The whole circumstances of the preserving and cultivating the Aboriginal languages and cultures are not well equipped yet. Okay, time is up. I have to say, older body, we have to change our attitude. That is my student's masterpiece. One student can say, Gulung, Kachin, Niue, Ax. Different languages at the time. Look at this. This is the guest room. Opalafangan kunini, Jeshike bang. Look at this. We need teaching, we need a classroom, teaching and learning in a multilingual classroom. All the students have to learn each of the languages of the student, of his classmate. That's teaching and learning in a classroom. What I mean is that I'll have to make the conclusion. Translingualism is the catalyst and stimulants of building more positive heterogeneous relationship in the multicultural world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Huang. And when I met Dr. Huang earlier in the room to prepare for the session, I knew I was very fortunate and it would be a very entertaining part of the program. So thank you again, and obviously it's good to have linguistic expertise being injected into this discussion. I'd now like to invite Dr. Ko to now provide his presentation, and with a particular emphasis on sociology and media. Thank you.
Thank you. After the very interesting talk for the previous scholar, you might felt that my talk is quite boring. Okay. Okay, I'd like to share our experience of doing the digital archive, which Professor Pai Yinghai just mentioned previously, about Lanyu's Aboriginal media and culture from the perspective of participatory communication. And because we think that we should have in good cooperation with the local contributors to establish a database of the local culture and the media production. So we are thinking about mobilizing the local people to participate in setting up a database of those media and the cultural significance with us. So we developed some ideas by using the concept of participatory communication. And these are some of the concepts that we try to employ. And this is part of the National Science Council project. We have done this for 5 years already. And it's a collaborated project among different scholars from different universities. And the purpose is very simple. We like to preserve the images, sound, and the documentary films of social, ecological, and historical importance in digital forms. And these materials are actually produced by the local people themselves, representing and promoting the significance of ethnic culture, increasing ethnic and multicultural understanding among different races and ethnicities. And we try to create the value of participatory communication, as I just mentioned. And actually, we have several sources of contributors. The major one is the cultural and educational foundation of 兰语, 兰恩文教基金会. Okay, it was set up by actually Mandarin people, not local people, but they contribute to that community for quite a long time, for at least 20 to 30 years. So they have collected a lot of very cherishable materials for us to digitalize and to put it on the database. And we also further contact the local people to provide some other materials, very interesting and very important as well to us, including flora and fauna and everything. And currently, in our database, we have put up at least 10,000 metadata and 5 million Chinese characters for data retrieval. So these are some of the examples, including like news magazines, radio programs, slides, photos, and some local produced videos and the very important folk sounds. And this is the web page of our database, and I'd like to show you some of our work that we have done there. And okay, we have like media database, and when I click, we'll go to, this is about the media database, and I will put in my own code so that I can have a full text to be viewed. Okay. And actually, we also have some of the special issues of report on those very important culture of local people. And I show you one of the important culture, which is called Flying Fish Festival in the Orchid Island. The island is actually only 30-minute flight from here. And for example, this is one of the radio programs locally produced. And we have like doubling core metadata. And then we have some abstract. And we have all the content in detail in Chinese characters from each segment. And then we have all the radio programs separated into different units. For example, like this one. This is by the native language to speak up about some of
ori maki pung nonyo amir na mi ciwo yeko wata pangamir na sarajo tem ya mas ngenjira tem elanyo masani ba mamiringo.
So everyone can actually hear this video clips from nearly everywhere in the world. So it has some preserving purpose. It has also have some educational purposes as well. Okay, and because actually it has some Mandarin and some Dao, the local language. It is used interchangeably. So we have like Mandarin Chinese and the Tao language, Mandarin Chinese and Tao language. We all put up here. And I like to show you of the video clips as well. They are not professional people, but they do record their everyday life activities. Okay, and in our database, we have pick up some key frames and some important video clips. So you can see that actually we can also view them from our database. Up to the present, we have about 300 video tapes collected and more than 10,000 slides of importance, cultural importance, or flora and fauna, something like that. So that we have collected quite a lot of material to be used here. Okay, because of a time limit, so I think I got to proceed. Okay, actually we also have some other projects coming in this database as well. For example, this website is about folk sounds, and the folk sounds in the Orchid Island is very unique, and I think it's one of the most important cultures that can and need to be preserved there. Maybe it's too slow or something like that, so it doesn't work now. Okay. Let me maybe try once to see whether it works. We're trying to design an interactive website so that younger generation will be more interested in that. And actually, because I cannot show this, we have like sounds and relevant literature, relevant photos, and then you can hear the folk sounds. And if there is image, we'll put the video clips there as well. And we also have some special issues produced. Or I think maybe it's too slow of the internet now. For example, let me show you one thing we are doing. Because the local people ask us to help them to do something as well. So sometimes it's not what we want them to do. Sometimes they ask us to help. So it's a kind of cooperation that we think that we can do it well in the near future. Maybe we skip this one. And this is one of the very beautiful churches in the Orchid Island. And the paintings is all around the church. And it was painted 40 years ago. And it has every significant meanings in each symbol and icon. So we asked the local people to interpret this meaning for us, and we put it in the database. And this is part of the field work that we use video and photo and everything. And we participate in their church activities, even we are not really the religious believers. And we also invite them to come to our 3D studio production in Taiwan using the local images so that we can have a better interaction. And when we go there, sometimes we have to demonstrate our website to them so that they trust us and they know what we are doing. And we also need to learn from them because the local knowledge is quite, it's not easy to understand. And for most of us, we do not have the local knowledge, so we have to learn from them. We have a lot of workshops when we go to the field work, then we learn. And in order for them to participate in putting their own materials into our database by themselves, so we design some easier template to operate, something like this, step 1, 2, 3. And we also have operation manual for them to do that. Up to the present, we have done, HEMI successfully. That is to say, we have done some achievements that they do really participate in putting all the things by themselves. But we still need to have a lot of effort to go. Okay, so sometimes we go there, we have training workshops for the local people to upload the data, metadata, and things like that sort. And I think I'll skip this because I used the Denegri's model of 6 spectrum of participation to reflect our own effort. And the conclusion is, I think for our project, we have faced many challenges. For example, like, first of all, the local needs and subjectivity. Who needs the digital archive and database? Have the locals participate in making it useful. If it is only for our own research purpose and not useful for them, then I think this project will fail. And the second, long-term involvement. Okay, we felt that the ethnographic method based on reciprocity is key to establish genuine cooperation. So we have done this work for more than 5 years, and we have established many friendship and good support from them. Sustainability is the third point. I think the user interface and the system design, operation skills, and the feasibility of participants are all essential to the success of digital archive program. I think my time is up, so I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Koo. And I should say that Dr. Koo has very strong links with both Australia and New Zealand, and he has recently been a visiting professor at the Victoria University in Wellington, hence your New Zealand accent that we noticed through your presentation. Very shortly I'm going to bring Tania and Donald into this discussion and just relate back the information from our linguistic and media sociology experts back to the key topic of Indigenous languages and broadcasting strategies in the digital era. But I thought I'd just tell you a brief story just while Tania and Donald are formulating what they're going to cover. And it relates back to why we're actually all here. And on my way to Taiwan, I had a 13-hour flight and was fortunate enough to have bought a book called Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Now, this was a seminal book written by D. Brown in the 1790s. D. Brown is an American, and it was focused on the experience of the Native Americans between 1860 to 1890. The key difference about this book was it was written through the perspective and the eyes of Native Americans. And if you think about what we've all been brought up with in terms of what we know and understand about Native American culture, everything has come from Hollywood or mainstream media. And we have visions of Native Americans being very warlike, being very savage, very unprepared to negotiate with the settlers back in the 1860s sort of period in the US. But in fact, it was all incorrect. The Native American people were probably one of the most peace-loving and accommodating people that ever existed. And this book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, actually told the Native American experience from a Native American perspective. And I think that's one of the reasons why Indigenous media is so important, because we tell our stories through our eyes and we tell them accurately. And it's important also so that we can go back and rewrite history where it hasn't been accurately recorded in the first instance, portray accurately things that are of relevance to us today. But most importantly, as we've all discussed today, protect and strengthen our languages and cultures. And it needs to be recognised that media is so powerful. Using that example of the Native Americans, we've all grown up with these perceptions that have been fed to us by Hollywood and by mainstream media. And we need to step back and question what's happening in mainstream media, because they, by and large, do not get it right. And they, by and large, do not portray an accurate perspective. So television, Indigenous television, is critically important. It's still the most powerful medium in the world, but we do need to recognise that traditional broadcast television is going to be surpassed at some point in time by internet, online media and new media. And one of the key discussion points today is how we can actually embrace new media, organised for it to complement traditional broadcasting, so that our particular focus to strengthen our respective Indigenous languages and cultures can continue. So I'm fortunate as a moderator, I can just point out these issues and then throw over to the panel to come up with the profound answers. So on that note, I'll ask Tania perhaps to share her thoughts on today's discussion. Thank you, Tania.
I've got my own. Thank you. I'll be talking a lot more on National Indigenous TV tomorrow, but to give you a bit of an idea at the moment, we've been going for only 4 years. We're coming up to our 4th year now. It took 25 years for us to get NITV up on air. The government gave us quite a few restrictions, but we managed to eventually become a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week service, reaching 8 million Australians. Probably the 6th largest channel on Australia at the moment, next to the commercials. So that's been quite a huge achievement. But to stick to the topic today, the language is possibly a great opportunity for NITV, but also a huge weight on our shoulders. There's 250 nations, 250 languages. There are some that are, speaking them regularly every day, some that are being reborn again, which I'm able to learn from our other Indigenous broadcast partners what you've done and how language has changed since your channels have been going through the times. I think you've been around a bit longer than us. As far as digital and opportunity as well, NITV is now about to reach a new phase which I'm calling the campfire. It's a place where we all come together to share stories and also take knowledge away. And I guess to tackle the issues of our languages and to bring inclusion with all our cultures around Australia, our diversity, but we're very unique, but very diverse, and how to engage with all our different cultures is how I'm taking the opportunity of the digital age, being able to have people in their remote communities maintain, record their languages in a place they feel safe and make choice to give it to NITV through this campfire. We're at the very beginning of it, and I guess I can talk a bit more about it, but just to refer back to our key speakers, it's quite interesting to hear about the engagement you're having in the communities and of the databases, the archiving that's going on. And I'm curious to see how it works with the TITV, or whether or not there is a link, or if you are advising the Indigenous channel on how to go about these languages, or if you're finding a way for these, a solution to the future of where this archiving material will go. Are you using it for the channel to be pushed out?
Actually, we appreciate much of the scholar. They have done a lot of the digital or any kind of the preserving our own languages. We appreciate, we're grateful for such kinds of the great job for all the people. But I think that most of the people right now, the younger generation, need to speak it out, right? We need a kind of immersion. That is what I say. Even though we have the TITV, but sometimes we just the very few programs speak in our own languages. That is what I need. We teach okay. We do something with the education right now in our educational system. But somebody said, just spend money over there, but kids never learn it. That's a great pity for us. Just invest so much money. That's so. So I say I'm mad and sad. That is what I mean.
Thank you, Tanya. And unless there's anything further to add, I thought at this point I'd just ask Donald to share some of his views on this topic with us before we open this up to the audience for questions.
Thank you, Jim. The discussion's been very interesting. When we launched BBC Alapa, we did so in the National Museum of Scotland. And I said to my colleagues before, this could be very dangerous for us because I could see the headlines that might appear in the newspapers. Gaelic language channel opens in a museum where it ought to be and to stay. And fortunately, nobody was smart enough in the media to pick up that kind of headline. And so I was very relieved the next day that nobody had done that. In a way, it was a bit of an ironic statement because to hold the launch of the channel in such a national, in a place with national significance, particularly one being a museum, because their statement of intent is that Gaelic language should not become a museum piece. And there are a number of interesting threads, I think, that we could develop from the conversations we've had. Digitisation of material relating to society, and particularly to Indigenous culture, is hugely important. But my colleague here on my left has rightly raised the question, digitising for what purpose? If it's to preserve it and to put it on a shelf, that is one thing. But if it's to be preserved to enable reinvention and to enable society from which that comes to utilise the material and access it and create new material relevant to it, if it's an enabler to the development of society, then that particular society, then so much the better. So I think digitisation and creating large, easily accessible repositories of information, music, slides, video, audio, the tales of the older people who are dying out, for example, is hugely important. I think moving across the kind of spectrum of age to the younger generation, I see significant challenges for indigenous languages, significant opportunities as well. I see our own young people who are Gaelic speakers. Many of them play PlayStation 3, for example, or Xbox, and they might spend hours playing the games, but they don't have the opportunity to play them through the medium of Gaelic. They go to English. So I asked myself the question, if there was a Gaelic version here and an English version there, would it matter to them which medium they chose? And I asked myself the question whether there are signals that are sent out to young people in relation to this kind of media that are negative. So when they go to buy the game online or in a store, and they don't have the option of getting it in their own native language, their own mother language, is that saying something? Is that saying this is an area where our language does not go? Our language stays in this bit. It deals with culturally relevant material, but it doesn't allow you to play Grand Theft Auto, for example. And those are important questions. I don't know the answer to them. People I speak to about this say, no, the language must enter every part of society if it possibly can. I think we have to grapple with that particular question. And I think the question, finally, the last point I'll make is changing patterns of consumption generally are quite interesting. And what we are seeing is that, yes, a lot of people are viewing television programs online, but there are specific genres that are attractive and specific genres, other genres that are not attractive to online viewers. So quite often it's a different type of experience. Quite often it's a solitary experience. It's one person watching a screen rather than a family sitting down to watch a TV show together. That's a different kind of program. So we see from the data that we're collecting that there are certain programs that work very well. For example, programs about cars, fast cars, Hot Wheels, work very, very well for an online audience, as do other kind of niche interest types of programming. So for us, linear television has got a long way to go. It's important as a symbol of the survival and revitalisation of the language, but we're cognizant that in certain areas, particularly with young people, there are a lot of questions to answer around where will they be accessing their digital media content and how can we get there with our limited resources to provide something for them.
Thank you, Donald. And probably one of the most profound statements I heard today was Donald's comment that as Indigenous broadcasters, predominantly we are broadcasting programs that the majority don't want to receive in a language that they don't understand. And that's a real challenge for us. The solution is obviously, one of the solutions may be to make the majority like those programs and give them the tools to understand. I'm not sure, that's probably a very Indigenous way of looking at the problem. But anyhow, we have a short period of time to open the floor up to any questions that may be there over the next 5 to 10 minutes at most. So are there any questions?
At least 14 communities and nations already recognized by the government, and each one of them speaking a different language. Do you have any concrete suggestions as to what they can do to successfully promote the use of all the native languages while maintaining the kind of viewership they now enjoy, because to my knowledge, they enjoy more than 90% viewership throughout the indigenous communities. But I think one of the reasons they are able to do so is because they use Mandarin Chinese, which is the common language between among the different tribes. This is the only language we all understand. So do you have any concrete suggestions as to what we can do to improve the situation, but still being able to be attractive to our audience?
That is a very, very good question. I always think about it during my class. Maybe I have to say that being a teacher, maybe that is another question. Maybe I say, when I walk into the classroom, I say, why do my students have to learn what I want them to learn today? That is the first question for me to walk into the classroom. The second question I want to ask me, how can I make their learning much easier? It's the same, I think. I think the TITV maybe have to set up the 1 hour per one ethnicity, 1 hour per day, maybe just for older languages in Taiwan language. In Taiwan language, there are several dialects over there. 北排、南排、中排，就是没有北排，没有牛排嘛哈。Maybe we have to set up 1 hour per each of the group every day. Just maybe we use such kinds of the program to stimulate the younger generation, the whole majority, learn something from the minority. I think we have to think about it. Just because I'm a teacher, I'm the language teacher, so every time I just want to think about that. That is why we are here today. We have to negotiate, or maybe we have to some kind of discussion to figure out how to solve such kinds of problems. Being a teacher, I just want to do my best to help the younger generation to learn my own language. Especially in Taiwan, most of the people in Taiwan have to develop the multilingual competence, like the European country. That is what I mean. Thank you.
I think it's important in terms of the language revitalization. I think that we already lose the environment for practicing our mother tongue. This is the most important to how do we create the environment, provide the environment, or where is that? Maybe in our home, personally. Home could be the place. So how do we stimulate people to practice their own mother tongue at home? Or we're doing at school now, but not really function because not has become the real program at school. So in the past time, school is the tool of the government to destroy the language. And one important thing today become the regular program at school. That's important, of course. That's the policy. You use the policy to destroy the culture of the people. Now you do some more right policy to re-establish the culture, especially the environment to practice language. I think that's very important. And TITV is one of environment so far. Even though just a short program, or just visit to our local, to our hometown. I think that's something very important, the stimulation or make a line to encourage people. Our language is something meaning for our history, recently in the future. So digital archive, how to be practiced, be the very a very comprehensive way to stimulate people to find the environment concept in revitalizing our culture. I think this is what's important. Classroom is very easy to use, simple, but not just greeting. This is the life. This is, we need to rediscover the old thing for indigenous people. I think this is the much more than in classroom, because this is a cultural life. This is what's related to the roots and the dignity of the language of the people of the life. This is what I'm, in terms of TITV, there is an expectation. So how do we do this? I think this is what we have to think very seriously. This is what I'm commenting on for this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tong. I think the most important thing right now is how do we put the life of the native languages in the home, neighborhood, and communities. We have to increase the number of the speaking my language, and we have to develop the functions of our native language in the wider society. That is what I mean right now. Thank you so much.
We have time for one more question, if there is one final question.
Moding Dingai Numi, Sabah Bagnada. In Rukai's languages, that you can divide with several also, because some of the greeting language are really different from a different local. And our languages is only about 12,000 people speaking, and I teach children's English, and also I teach I have a license for teachings for the children's in Rukai's languages. Now the ways I do is I put 3 languages as a picture dictionary. I use flashcard to show children, for example, in Austronesian language, they can say mata. If you tell them that's everybody say Marta, there is 1 million people learn these languages, and you can give them ideas. Wow, so there is some other words that speaking these languages. So that means you have to give the children that you have the vision and you have a chance to learn these languages. So when I say in Samoa, they say susu. Susu is breath, right? Am I right? Kaoini. Okay, so that children can go home to talk to their parents or their grandma. Let grandma teach him so-so. And the languages in English, the parent also can learn in the same time. So I think that's, in digitals, it can help the children and also the parents. The problem is now, even the elders, the parents, they don't even speak the languages. That is the problem. They rather learn Chinese easier than anything. So that means we have to go back to your own mother tongue languages. Start build out from there. I think that's in Darumak, that's my language I come from. We have visitors from maybe from Americans, Indians. They come in to visit my school. And they ask me, Lily, is any book that's using Rukai's languages? And they say, I say, no, we only have material from their education department. I say, well, how is the children learn by other book? Because they need to read. The children need to read the picture. And then they can identify, oh, the picture is mata. The picture is flower. The picture is serpent. They don't even have this to use. So that means that it's become a revolution for all the indigenous people to go back their own roots and start to build up from inside. I think this is more important. You have all the digital, you have everything in Taiwan, but they don't really go back to the village, start build out from there. Dr. Huang's is a very good idea. Let's go back to your own language, start to make a revolution for everybody. This is the last chance for every indigenous people. Start stand up. We united, we can make it. I mean, we have already go through all that long to come up this stage. We have all the knowledge, we have all the revolution, we have all the digital, but go back to village. I think everybody really unite for this, and us indigenous people, you can start to go back a voice to all the world that's from your village. I think this is most important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're just going to conclude with one final speaker. This lady's name is Te Ripawai Higgins, one of the most recognised proponents of Te Reo Māori, the Māori language in New Zealand. She would just like to respond briefly to the comments you have made. Thank you.
Kia ora anō. Is this on? I've actually thoroughly enjoyed the session, and I'd like to make some comments and picking up on several threads. One of the things in that for me in that television is only part of the answer. And it is, if it's not spoken in the homes, it's lost. It has to be spoken in the homes. The development, the revitalisation of Te Reo Māori has come from our people's struggle for our own identity. It's all about identity and, you know, keeping something alive. I mean, everyone in this room have expressed that in their various forms. Television is but one part of it. It's supposed to be there to support the transmission in whatever way they can. And, you know, with modern technology. But it's no use for the survival of our identities, of our through our languages, because that's where it stems from. That's what makes each and every one of us in this room unique. It's derived through our languages because it's the messages, it's the way our ancestors viewed the world. And it's so television has an important part to it. Radio and all of the other resources available to us. But if it's not spoken in the homes by families, it's going to die. And if all the things that we can put on the screen, if it's not utilised, utilisation is the most important part of language revitalisation, of our identities. And that's something that currently that we are running a program, because we've been through from birth to death. We're now running a program of what we call kāinga kōrerorero, languages within the homes. And we've got people who are absolutely, totally, and you have to work with the people who are totally committed. You can't throw it out to the masses because it's just going to go, it's a lot of resources being spent at the wrong end. If you manage it, and it's so that the people who are totally committed, and these are people who are passionate, who are absolutely passionate, and they are young and old people, it's throughout the generations, who have made a commitment, then you're better off focusing on them because they will be the carriers of your identity, of your language. I thought I'd just said that. Sorry.
Tēnā rātu koe whai mō whakaro. Thank you for those thoughts, and on that note we'll conclude this session. I would just like to finalise this part of the day with this thought, particularly knowing that there's many program makers in the audience. There's usually some key elements that you need to make a great program. You need an adequate budget. You need a great story to tell. You need great talent. And finally, you need an element of luck. So I'd just like to say I'm very lucky to have had this great talent on the stage here today, and I'd like you to join me in thanking them. Thank you.
All right, please be seated, please. That concludes our first day of the conference. Hope you all enjoy it. Did you? Okay. Well, I would like to announce some information for tonight. We will have dinner at the same restaurant at the second floor, and we welcome you to join the film festival for the opening film, the Kuroshio Love Story. We will have a discussion with the production team, and also, if you remember, Maraos made a promise about having 1,000 Dao people doing the Dao dance to compete with Hakka. Do you remember that? We'll see if that'll happen. See you back at 7. Thank you.